Just saying that you can't be sure that it wasn't you.
That's ridiculous. Of course it wasn't me.
Marijuana is a memory loss drug, so maybe you just don't remember.
I would remember.
Well, how could you if it just erased your memory?
That's not how it works.
Now, how do you know how it works?
Plenty of classic TV comedies have made viewers laugh and maybe even taught them a thing or two about life, friendship, love, and the classic rock stylings of Jesse and the Rippers. Okay, that last one was mostly Full House, but I mean, if people like the show, right? Still, only a few series have really changed the game, messed around with our basic conception of what a TV show could be and how it could engage with viewers. On this episode of RT Essentials, we're taking a look at some of the most innovative and influential comedy series of all time. Shows that fundamentally altered the TV landscape and paved the way for the next generation of creative minds. And speaking of game-changing, we have a special announcement to make right here, right now. Unlike the typical RT Essentials list, which are based on our editorial pieces you can find on our website, RottenTomatoes.com, this episode's list is based on a section of our brand new book for all of you television completists out there. Introducing... Do you not have a drum roll? Okay, just run the graphic. Rotten Tomatoes, the ultimate binge guide, with 296 must-see shows that change the way we watch TV. Not only is it a fascinating look into the evolution of TV through engaging series write-ups, infographics, and deep dive essays, we see it as a challenge, a bingeable bucket list of the shows you just have to see before you die, broken down into fun sections like classics that made the molds, and those that broke them, mysteries and I'm not allowed to say that, reality TV and docuseries that captured the zeitgeist, and much more. The Ultimate Binge Guide is available for pre-order now and will be released in November. Make sure to grab one because there really isn't any better companion for the seasoned couch potato and the novice alike. And with that, a reminder that the spoiler alert is in effect here, and let's get on with the greatest game-changing TV comedies.
Maybe you and Kramer are flying over the Andes.
Why are we flying over the Andes?
We got a soccer game in Chile. Anyway, the plane crashes. Who are you going to eat to survive?
Kramer.
So fast? What about me?
No.
NBC's 1990s favorite Seinfeld is today remembered as a show about nothing, a classic bit of dialogue from a meta storyline in which the characters pitched a sitcom to NBC. But that's not really how actual creators Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David described their original concept to NBC executives. Their pitch, which they brought to the network way back in 1988, focused on how a comedian comes up with his material, and the answer? From his wacky neighbor. In keeping with the pitch, a lot of the show's elements were borrowed from Seinfeld and David's real lives.
No, you're missing an attire. It's an eyelash. Make a wish.
I don't want to.
Make a wish.
Okay. Didn't come true.
The character of Kramer is based on an actual former neighbor of Larry David's named Kenny Kramer. He was queasy at first about letting them use his real surname in the show, so during pre-production, the character was referred to as Kressler. Well, yeah, it seems weird now, but you probably would have gotten used to it. Kressler, Feldman, they all really work, but thankfully, the real Kramer relented and took home a tidy $1,000 as a thank you from the production. I mean, look, they didn't know it was going to be a hit.
I was handcuffed to the bed in my underwear, where I remained, for she certainly seemed interested in me. Though she was attractive, she was also, in fact, a Nazi. The water.
A former classmate of Jerry's named Michael Costanza claimed to be the real-world inspiration behind Jason Alexander's character George, and even sued the production for $100 million, claiming they'd violated his privacy. The creators argue that George was inspired by Larry David personally, not the guy who happened to be named Costanza. Seinfeld has been regularly ranked amongst the best TV shows of all time by a whole slew of publications, from Entertainment Weekly to Rolling Stone to TV Guide. The Writers Guild of America called it the second best written show of all time, behind only The Sopranos. Plus, Seinfeld actually had, an ending, so extra points. And if 68 Emmy nominations and 10 wins doesn't sell you on its lasting influence, consider that it has remained among the most popular sitcoms on streaming platforms to this very day.
I mean, look, I love you for what's on the inside.
I love you because you're so wonderful.
Well, be careful, that's real hair.
The original concept behind The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was inspired by the life of record executive Benny Medina, who grew up in a poor neighborhood in East Los Angeles, but moved into the Beverly Hills mansion of a wealthy friend's family as a teenager. Medina and his business partner, Jeff Pollock, pitched the concept to iconic producer Quincy Jones, who in turn brought it to NBC. At around the same time, purely by coincidence, Medina met rapper Will Smith at a taping of The Arsenio Hall Show. Smith was reluctant to star in a sitcom, as he'd only had one acting role in his life to date as a t-shirt salesman in an ABC after-school special. I'm sure he was riveting, though. I mean, you really did believe he wanted to sell you those t-shirts. The money, however, was too tempting to pass up, as young Will had already gotten into some tax trouble with the IRS following the runaway success of his first album. You know, the one with DJ Jazzy Jeff? Hey, Jazz! I guess sometimes you have to get jiggy in an affordable, budget-conscious way. But he's still jiggy.
Uncle Phil, please, do you mind turning the music back on? I'm trying to study.
Will Smith and Quincy Jones also collaborated on the show's iconic theme song, which is formally titled Yo Home to Bel-Air, by the way. And it's been rumored online that the cab driver scene in the opening credits was played by Quincy Jones himself, but that's just an urban legend, folks. In fact, the real Quincy Jones never learned to drive a car. NBC hired writers Andy and Susan Borowitz, yes, the same Andy Borowitz who writes those New Yorker columns, to work on the pilots, so they're listed today as the show's creators. The character of Carlton was named after a good friend of Andy's, Carlton Cuse, who went on to co-create shows like Lost and Bates Motel. Actor Alfonso Ribeiro based his famous Carlton dance on two key inspirations: Courtney Cox and Bruce Springsteen getting down in the Dancing in the Dark video, and Eddie Murphy doing what he called the white man dance in his hilarious stand-up special, Delirious.
He kicked you out of the house?
Well, he didn't actually kick her out of the house. He just changed all the locks and told her she didn't live there anymore.
And for all you millennials who want to learn how to do the Carlton, just go back here and up here. Back here and up here. Back here quicker, forward quicker. You see how it works? And I'm never invited to a wedding again.
Sometimes I would buy Vogue instead of dinner. I just felt it fed me more.
His word said no, but his kiss said yes.
Men. We have to run to Helga the Hot Waxer every other week, but them? How would they like it if we told them to shape their heads, trim their trunk,
Plant their bulbs?
A lot of the shows we're looking back on took a while to find their audience, but not HBO's Sex and the City, which was a mega hit right out of the gate and one of the network's highest-rated first-year shows in history. It remained popular throughout its run, from June of 1998 through February of 2004, taking home 7 Emmy Awards, including one each for stars Sarah Jessica Parker and Cynthia Nixon. Sex and the City was the very first cable show in history to win the Emmy for Outstanding Comedy Series. You see, back in this era, network TV continued to dominate award season. It was also the only HBO comedy to win the top prize at the Emmys until 2015, when Veep started its string of Best Comedy wins.
I love you too, Richard. But I love me more. And I will not be judged by you or society. I will wear whatever and whomever I want as long as I can breathe and kneel.
But beyond just the red carpet, the show and its costume designer, Patricia Field, had a major impact on women's fashion around the turn of the millennium. The New York Times credited the series with inspiring trends around nameplate necklaces, Manolo Blahnik shoes, flower corsages, and visible bra straps, plus the general practice of combining haute couture and fast fashion pieces within a single outfit. But again, that's only if you're a Carrie. There's totally different rules for Miranda's. I'm sorry, I didn't write them.
I said no white, no ivory, no nothing that says virgin. I have a child. The jig is up.
Sex and the City is also credited with massively increasing the popularity of the Cosmopolitan cocktail, the main foursome's drink of choice. The pink-colored Cosmo was first developed in the 1930s, but only became a mainstay on modern bar menus after fans obsessively watched Samantha Jones knock them down. And who's gonna blame them? She's #goals.
If I worried what every in New York was saying about me, I'd never leave the house.
The series was based on a 1997 book by author Candace Bushnell, compiling columns she'd written for the New York Observer. These columns were inspired by her real life, and some of the characters are stand-ins for real people. Mr. Big, for example, was modeled after a real guy named Ron Galati that Bushnell dated for about a year after meeting him at a party in 1995. And I'm sure he looked exactly like Chris Noth, too. I'm not even gonna Google it. I believe it, and that's what counts.
I thought by the time I got here, I'd know what to say.
And?
Well, you're late. The party's over.
I'll say it is.
But Bushnell is quick to insist that she's not the real Carrie Bradshaw, and that it's a persona she created to distance herself from the columns. Even Carrie's apartment in the show isn't completely authentic. The series claims that Carrie lives in a swanky neighborhood on the Upper East Side, but all the exteriors were shot at 66 Perry Street in the West Village. Is there nothing left to believe in anymore?
Will, what are you doing?
I think you've sprung a leak.
What are you talking about?
I haven't been with a woman in some time, but I'm pretty sure they're not supposed to do that.
The groundbreaking NBC sitcom Will and Grace was created by real-life friends Max Muchnick and David Cohen based on their actual friendship with casting agent Janet Eisenberg. Max had first met Eisenberg while they were rehearsing a play at age 13. He later worked with Cohen in shows including Dream On, remember Dream On, and Boston Common, and the three hit it off and became a circle of friends. The original pitch for Will and Grace was actually about 3 couples, only one of which was a gay man living with a straight woman. NBC President Warren Littlefield suggested that the show was too busy and should just focus on this storyline and relationship, ditching the others. And that wasn't the only major change. Leslie Jordan's role as a socialite and Karen Walker frenemy Beverly Leslie was originally written for an actress, and not just any actress, but Dynasty vet Joan Collins. Leslie Jordan has claimed that Collins turned down the role because of a single scene in which another actor was to rip her wig off, but I'm sad to say we do not have authoritative, independent confirmation on this great anecdote.
Yay, penguins. Please. I mean, that is absurd. There is no such thing as a gay penguin.
Well.
Will and Grace debuted in September of 1998. In April of 1997, Ellen DeGeneres publicly came out as gay, and over the following season of TV, her ABC sitcom had somewhat dipped in the ratings. This caused some nervousness over at NBC about whether or not audiences would accept Will and Grace, a show featuring multiple gay lead characters. Ultimately, co-creator David Cohen has said that he thinks the precedent set by Ellen and the remaining buzz around her decision to go public and her TV show helped Will and Grace make it to air. The show's enduring popularity has been widely credited with helping to improve public opinion about the LGBTQ+ community and gay rights issues more broadly. The Smithsonian has items from the series in its LGBTQ+ history collection, and curator Dwight Blocker Bowers praised the show as using comedy to familiarize a mainstream audience with gay culture. President Joe Biden also credited the show with educating the American public about issues of concern to the gay community during a 2012 appearance on Meet the Press.
You may or may not know this, but my business associate Benji and I have come to a parting of the ways.
And I thought you two would last forever. You were definitely the most stable, in-the-closet, short, tall, black, white, young, old, disgusting, hot couple I know.
That title, by the way, comes from a book about Jewish philosophy called I and Thou by Martin Buber. He writes that people need both the will to seek out the truth, or the eternal, and the grace to receive it. And here you thought it was just because those are the characters' first names. TV, it's never that simple.
What do you want to start with?
32.
All right, here's the 32.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, okay.
Curb Your Enthusiasm started life way back in 1999 as a one-off Larry David comedy special for HBO. The project was conceived as an actual nonfiction film in which documentarian Robert B. Weed, who had made a few notable profiles of comedians, including W.C. Fields, Mort Sahl, and Lenny Bruce, would follow veteran stand-up Larry David around the comedy clubs as he prepped new material for an HBO special. After Weed had started shooting footage of David, the concept shifted into a mockumentary. It still followed Larry David as he prepped for an HBO special, but fictionalized the scenarios this time, concluding with the Seinfeld co-creator deciding to not do the comedy special at all and backing out of the project. Unlike the series, in this original Curb special, the characters were all aware of the presence of the camera and that they were being filmed. The original special was so realistic, old Florida friends of actress Cheryl Hines believed it was true and got upset with her for not inviting them to her wedding to Larry David. She was still working as a personal assistant for Rob Reiner's family at this point, so that would have been big news. Even after Curb shifted to an entirely fictional TV sitcom, Robert Weed stayed on board. He directed most of the show's first 5 seasons and helped to define its approach and comedic voice.
By the way, before we get into that, are you aware that you have a wobbly table here? Look at this. Look at this table. It's unbelievable. I don't know how you can go to bed at night.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
If all tables in your house wobbled, you could live like that? You could live in a wobble house?
If we need to talk about Ted, if we need to talk about everything that just happened here.
What?
Famously, no dialogue is ever written out for the show. Larry David starts with a rough outline for an episode, totaling about 7 or 8 pages, and the actors fill in the details all on their own. Before the cameras go on, the performers don't even try ad-libbing real dialogue. They just say blah, blah, blah while blocking out the scene, then begin the improv once the cameras are turned on. The concern is that they'd say something funny in rehearsal, but then be unable to recreate the spontaneity of the moment when everything is actually being recorded for posterity. David has said that his fictional persona is basically the real him, but if he lived completely untethered in a world without consequences or rules. So in a way, the Curb version presents his idealized, most fully realized self. And that may not be entirely healthy, but it's certainly been creatively fruitful.
How did you get in here? I have my own keys. You forgot to change the locks.
Okay, I want that key back, okay? And you need to go. This is not a college dormitory where you can visit years later and catch up on things. We don't have alumni weekends, okay?
I never should have sold this house to you. You're destroying it, and you're certainly destroying this plan.
Okay.
Curb has been nominated for 47 Primetime Emmy Awards, including Outstanding Comedy Series for each of its first 10 seasons. That means it holds the most nominations in that category without a win, which is pretty good.
That's great. So the other 449 families live in fear? Is that what we're saying? I mean, come on. Where's your decent... What the hell just fell off your face? No, one of this guy's eyebrows just fell in the bowl of candy beans.
I always carry a spare.
Well, I hope you also carry a spare bowl of candy beans.
Arrested Development first ran on Fox from 2003 to 2006 before finishing off its run many years later on Netflix. But those first 3 Fox seasons arrived at a time when a number of comedy shows were experimenting with new, more modern-feeling styles and formats. Arrested Development's laugh track-free, single-camera aesthetic, filmed handheld like a documentary, but without the characters knowing they're on camera, influenced a bevy of later shows, from Community to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and beyond. A number of other series also borrowed Arrested Development's frequent use of running jokes and cutaway gags. 30 Rock, I'm looking in your direction.
When George Sr. was in charge, he had a habit of shooting down any idea Michael came up with.
And Sudden Valley just sort of implies that something awful could happen all of a sudden. You know, plus it's on a hill.
What are you taking, stupid pills? Come on, save us some money.
This was a management tool.
It was producer/narrator Ron Howard's original idea to do a single-camera comedy series with handheld cameras, a concept inspired by the then surging popularity of reality shows. Imagine TV brought in a few writers and creatives to workshop the idea, including Mitch Hurwitz, who suggested a story based on corporate accounting scandals. You remember that whole Enron thing back in 2001? Kind of like that. Howard served as the initial narrator for the pilot, but was intended only as a place filler. When the team heard how well his audio blended in with the tone of the rest of the show, though, they decided to keep him on. Also, he's their boss, so, you know.
Lucille Austero had just returned from a month-long stay at a facility that specialized in the treatment of vertigo.
Having Ron Howard around was also clutch in convincing Liza Minnelli to join the ensemble as supporting character Lucille too. The duo have had a lifelong friendship dating back to Minnelli babysitting a young Ronnie Howard when she was still a teenager. You can Google that one. It's 100% true. In Mitch Hurwitz's original scripts, the now iconic character Tobias was just a small supporting role. It was only after David Cross was on set hanging out with the ensemble so well that Hurwitz decided to expand the role into a series regular. At the time, Fox president Gail Berman had a strict policy against any actors on the network's comedy shows having a mustache. She also had strict and surprisingly specific rules against anyone wearing ball caps or puffy sleeves on air. Okay. Cross had to fight to keep Tobias' mustache, which Berman agreed to so long as it never got too bushy. Huh. So no one likes a bushy mustache, I guess. It's not funny. I like them.
Could you come get me?
I have to stay here and answer the phone.
Okay, could someone come and get me, please, Ryan?
Michael, you should stay home and rest.
There's no toilet paper here. Could Ryan... Tell Ryan to bring toilet paper. Could you tell him that?
Can you hop?
I tried hopping, Kevin, and I bumped my elbow against the wall.
The Office. The UK version of The Office ran for just 2 short seasons, 14 total episodes in the early 2000s, but the jaded, snarky series about horrible boss David Brent was a global smash hit, making a stateside remake almost inevitable. But NBC didn't just pluck some rando out of obscurity to bring the exciting world of paper sales to U.S. televisions. They tapped Greg Daniels, whose resume already included writing stints on Saturday Night Live, The Simpsons, and Seinfeld, all the best S shows. Plus, he co-created Fox's King of the Hill. He could have just rested on those impressive laurels, but nay. Daniels developed the U.S. version of The Office, served as the showrunner for the first 4 seasons, and then left to make yet another hit show, Parks and Recreation. He did come back for the final year of The Office, though, because I guess he's sentimental at heart.
ABC, okay? And that stands for airway, breathing, and circulation.
Okay, you know what? That could be a little confusing because in sales, ABC means always be closing.
This is a farce. I should be teaching this course.
Shut it.
We found ourselves on the less prepared side of things when when his heart went berserk.
As a nod to the UK series, by the way, the Dunder Mifflin address is listed as 1725 Slough Avenue. There's no real Slough Avenue in Scranton. That's the English town where the original show was set. It's Britain's version of Scranton, Pennsylvania. The first team of Office writers included Daniels, his future Parks and Rec partner Mike Schur, and 3 of the show's most recognizable on-screen co-stars. Mindy Kaling, who played Kelly Kapoor, BJ Novak, who co-starred as Ryan the Intern, and Paul Lieberstein, aka Toby from HR. Mike Schur also appeared on camera, though in a smaller supporting role. That's him as Dwight Schrute's peculiar cousin, Mose. With 24 total episodes credited to her, Kaling is the most prolific Office writer of all time. That's just about 1/8 of all the episodes put together.
The rain is over and gone. The time of singing has come, and the voice of the turtle dove is heard in our land.
BJ Novak was cast right away as Ryan, but the rest of the ensemble went through numerous changes before everything felt right. Saul Goodman himself, Bob Odenkirk, was very close to signing on as Michael Scott before Steve Carell's schedule freed up. Angela Kinsey originally auditioned to play Pam Beasley, Seth Rogen was strongly considered for the role of Dwight Schrute, and Adam Scott auditioned to play Jim Halpert. To prepare to play Jim, actor John Krasinski toured around Scranton, PA, and spoke with a number of employees at various paper companies. Actual footage that Krasinski shot on his trip appears in the opening credits. I'm guessing he also practiced that exasperated look into camera move. It had to become muscle memory at some point, right?
David!
David!
David, I'm here! I'm sorry for not responding to like one text, David.
Schitt's Creek, the first Canadian series on our list, comes from father-son team Eugene and Dan Levy, who co-created the show and co-star as Johnny and David Rose. The show was initially a co-production with the Pop TV American cable network, but didn't really find a US audience until it hit Netflix after its 3rd season. It sometimes takes us a little while to catch up, but we get there. Dan Levy came up with the idea for the show after watching reality TV, and specifically thinking about how one of those infamous, wealthy, Kardashian-esque families would survive if they suddenly found themselves with no money. The Levys were also inspired by a true story about actress Kim Basinger purchasing the town of Braselton, Georgia for $20 million in 1989. In truth, Kim didn't technically buy a whole town. She and some partners bought a bunch of buildings and property in the area, which she hoped to turn into a film and recording studio, plus a tourist destination. Well, those plans didn't pan out, and Basinger and her partners resold the property in 1995. But the idea stuck with the Levys and inspired a story about the down-and-out Rose family moving to a rural town they purchased on a whim.
Alexis, what the hell is the matter with you?
Okay. Stavros is flying in to get me, and I'm going to go live with him for a little bit.
Well, that is not happening. And I am appalled that my baby girl has turned into a selfish, duplicitous whore. Oh, hello.
The title came from Eugene Levy, though it very nearly got changed en route to the screen. The Canadian Broadcast Company, which co-produced the show along with Pop TV, worried that the title was too vulgar to put on the air. The Levy sent them excerpts from several phone books, proving that Schitt, with the C and extra T, is in fact a real last name that lots of people actually have. Moira Rose's iconic wardrobe and personal style were based on designer Daphne Guinness, heiress to the Guinness Stout fortune, who became a particular inspiration for star Catherine O'Hara. As the character Moira, O'Hara wore over 100 wigs during the course of the show, each of which she and her personal hairstylist Ann Soros selected. Annie Murphy's performance as Alexis, in particular her frequent use of vocal fry, was also inspired by watching people on reality TV shows. To this day, Alexis saying, "Ew, David," remains one of the most frequently quoted lines from the show, but she actually only utters this specific expression 3 times total over the course of the entire 6 seasons.
Shh. Why is it dark? Shh. It's like a witch's house in here, David.
Shush! Get off my bed.
Ouch, David. Ouch, David.
Shut the curtains!
Alexis says just David without the ew over 224 times in just the first 5 seasons. So, if any of you are working on your impressions, it's just something to remember.
Or you could put down 3 or 4 months' rent if you've been saving.
Ooh, I have been saving. Okay. I've been saving. I've been saving. I've been saving. I've been saving. She's been saving. She's been saving.
No, you know I eat out a lot.
Oh, girl.
HBO's Insecure debuted on October 9th, 2016, and aired for 5 total seasons. In 2017, it was selected by the AFI as one of the year's top 10 programs. It has also played host to a number of notable filmmakers and directors behind the camera, including choreography legend Debbie Allen, Queen and Slim Helmer Melina Matsoukas, writer-director Tina Mabry, actress Kerry Washington, and all-around Hollywood icon Regina King. The show was co-created by Issa Rae and Daily Show vet Larry Wilmore, inspired by Rae's landmark YouTube series Awkward Black Girl. This definitely makes her one of the most successful former YouTubers in Hollywood history, alongside Lily Singh, Bo Burnham, and really anyone who's doing a pay-per-view boxing match. Prior to Insecure, Rae had been developing a very different series called I Hate LA Dudes that was going to be about a single woman dating various image-obsessed guys in Hollywood. Rae pitched that show to Shonda Rhimes and her business partner, Betsy Beers, but it didn't end up coming together. She later said that her heart wasn't fully into the LA Dudes concept, and the experience led her to develop the more personal and authentic Insecure. And I do mean authentic. Yvonne Orji's character, Molly Carter, is not only based on Issa Rae's real best friend, they even share the same name. The creators work with a number of cultural consultants as well to ensure maximum on-screen authenticity. Recording artist Solange serves as musical consultant and frequently showcases up-and-coming artists on the soundtrack. Costume designer Shiana Turini collaborates with a number of prominent black designers when dressing the characters, including BLK MKT Vintage and No Cesso. This is all done with purpose, of course.
When you work hard, you play hard.
That's right. That's that 80-40 ratio right there. Just overlap. I know, man. Okay, y'all.
Hey, I'm Molly.
Oh, then I'm Percocet? What are we doing?
That's her name. She's Molly. And I'm drunk.
Rae said when introducing the series to the Television Critics Association that the goal was to make everyday black life relatable. As she put it, this is about regular people living life.
Wow, this doesn't happen very often, does it?
No, I suppose it's quite rare, yeah. I hate myself.
Like so many great British shows, Fleabag became a massive global success despite running for just a handful of episodes across 2 brief seasons. But don't worry, creator and star Phoebe Waller-Bridge has assured us the show will never, ever return. That's it, folks. I guess time for us to move on. The Fleabag TV series was adapted from Waller-Bridge's one-woman show, which ran at the 2013 Edinburgh Fringe Festival and even picked up a Fringe First Award. That show, in turn, was inspired by a dare from a friend who would challenge Phoebe to perform a 10-minute block on a storytelling and comedy show as an original character. That character is never identified on screen by name as Fleabag. The name just appears as a title and in the credits. It was actually a family nickname for Waller-Bridge when she was a kid. I guess someone else in the neighborhood was already Champ and whatever else. She used it for the play as a way of comparing the character to a Fleabag motel. It looks okay on the outside, but once you get in the rooms and you start looking around, you realize it's a total mess. I've been there. The show inspired a French remake from creator Jean Harry known as Mouche, I failed French in high school, which translates to English simply as fly. Camille Cotton stars in that version, and the action is reset in Paris, but otherwise the storylines are pretty similar.
I thought you'd be in prison by now.
Oh, well, keep trying, but they just won't have me. I'm sorry about your eye.
Oh, that's okay. Gives me some edge. I've told them some heroic bullshit. Bless you, Sandy.
Thank you, Bob.
The much-loved Season 2 Hot Priest role was written specifically for actor Andrew Scott, whom Waller-Bridge had first worked with nearly a decade before in a play at the Soho Theater. If Scott had said no, there's a good chance Fleabag Season 2 would have never happened. Waller-Bridge has said she's not sure she could have pulled those scenes off with another actor. All I can say is, thank goodness that timing worked out. Fleabag Season 2 won 4 Emmys, including Outstanding Comedy Series, Lead Actress in a Comedy Series, Writing in a Comedy Series, both of those went to Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and Harry Bradbeer picked up a prize for his directing. Plus, we should highlight the show's memorable score. Phoebe's sister, Isabel Waller-Bridge, composed all the music, and this isn't just nepotism, folks. She's classically trained, having studied music at Edinburgh University, King's College London, and the Royal Academy of Music. I have never been to any of those places, and I can't play music, so my hat's off to the entire Waller-Bridge family. Well, that's it for today. What? We're not doing all 296 shows from the book? I guess that's it for today, and we've given you so many great, memorable, and downright important TV shows to watch that you probably have a queue that's a mile long. There's not even going to be room for you to watch movies at this point. Just clear out a few weeks. I'm sure your boss is going to understand. And don't forget, you can find so many more TV comedies that weren't even mentioned here in Rotten Tomatoes, the ultimate binge guidebook, a bingeable bucket list of all the shows you need to see before you die, coming November with pre-orders open now. And once you're done binging all those shows, come on back here for more RT Essentials, and I'm sure we'll find something else to overload you with. That's what we do. We're Rotten Tomatoes.